Hello, today I wanted to go over some CI/CD stuff, some code pipeline stuff, and deployments for a Fargate service using ECS deployments through CodeBuild. I'll be building off of, I have some previous videos of building the infrastructure that you can see here, the VPC ECS cluster and the Fargate service in previous videos. So I would suggest looking for those. I can try to remember to link those whenever I'm done with this video. If you're curious to know how this infrastructure is built, the three stacks you see on the left here, these CloudFormation stacks. But if not, if you already understand how that infrastructure could be built, then great. One thing I will show here real quick, just the setup. I have the load balancer set up and everything, and well, we can see that if I hit that endpoint at that port, that we get back a response. And what I want to do is I'll just make something easy. I try to add like an exclamation mark or something. I just want to create a CI/CD pipeline to pick up changes from the Git repo, build them in a Docker file, push to ECR, and ECR, this is all set up. This has been set up for a while now actually, but I'll be pushing to ECR and then deploying that new image into the ECS cluster and that new task. So we'll see all of this run through. Shouldn't be anything stopped. We will probably see it stop when this gets redeployed, when this task gets redeployed, because that's what I'll be targeting. But yeah, I've done this before. It's been a little while, but we'll go through and debug it and work through it together. So I guess there's a new experience that I haven't clicked on recently. We'll see if I like this. I might go back. There are some references that I will try to remember to link in the video description for kind of resources or a starting point for all of this. This is a code pipeline action, and this is actually what we'll be deploying. I will bring up, so this is where I found it, the ECS. There is a way to do this through CodeDeploy, and you can set up blue-green deployments or canary deployments, which is preferable. However, I believe as of right now that's not possible to do through CloudFormation, and since the result of this video will be CloudFormation templates for my reference repository on GitHub, I'll just focus on CloudFormation for now. But it's worth pointing out that there is a way to do blue-green deployments with ECS. You just have to do some manual tasks in the console, and I might make a video in the future going through building one of those. Another thing that I will bring up, so there are a few different parameters that we need to pass in. The cluster name, the service name, those are pretty easy. We'll know what those are. The deployment timeout, I'll just let it default, and then the file name. So the file name is something interesting. We have to pass in this image definitions.json file, or this formatted file. And my plan is to have that be an artifact of CodeBuild that will then get fed into this next step. And this is what the file will have to look like. It's an array with the name of the container in the service that we're referencing and the image that needs to be deployed into that as that container, into that service, deployed into that service. I will also bring up real quick, there is a more or less a tutorial of how to do this on AWS already. It's as most of their unfortunately most of their tutorials go, it's mostly console based or CLI based, not so much CloudFormation based. So I'll be expanding on top of this and doing CloudFormation. But it is there, and in case anyone wants to reference that in addition to what we'll be doing. And it even shows here, we can see the output. So it's all there for you if you want it. So yeah, let's get into it. The proposed pipeline that I would like to create will be similar to this serverless API CICD pipeline, which I have used in the past. I'll just reuse that, or at least use that as a starting point. I don't know if I still have that OAuth token. What was that? Parameter? Let's go find out if I have that. And then I'll explain what I want the pipeline to look like as a finished product. Okay, it's still there. That's good. So we'll start off with a source step. So it will read from GitHub. It'll pull GitHub and pull in the changes if they're there. Then we're going to follow this exact model. We're going to take the code and put it into a CodeBuild instance, and then the output of that is going to have that image definitions.json file. That's where it'll come from, and that'll be passed in through the build artifact output from this stage. And this deploy stage, instead of being through CloudFormation, it will be through ECS, and it will handle our deployment for us. So this won't keep flying all around. I think it's probably worth noting that this won't be a complete solution. This is just trying to understand the basics and how these different types of AWS services interact with each other. That's mostly what I'm attempting to show. So, and I'll just center it all around this AWS CloudFormation reference repository. So I know I will need a build spec. Let me just go ahead and add this. And I'll mess with that in the near future. Let's see, so CICD. Let's see. All of this stuff is pretty. Well, I won't need a bucket actually. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Oh, there are two buckets. That's right, there's a source bucket as well. That I will need just to pull the CodePipeline artifact bucket. Okay, I guess I will still need that one. Still need that parameter. The source bucket I will not need because I'm pushing to ECR now. I won't need Lambda. I will need CodePipeline. No CloudFormation. No API gateway. IAM full access. I don't think I'll be creating IAM roles. CodeBuild. I will need those. And then I believe, let's see. I bet somewhere here they have the IAM permissions. These are permissions to the CodeBuild role. Okay, I will need to add those to the CodeBuild role. Let's see what the IAM permission for the CodeBuild role is. So what I'm doing here, this role is the same. I did this in the other pipeline as well, but this role is I just use the same role across both CodePipeline and CodeBuild, which I'll point out right now, that's not proper, and I don't recommend doing that. but you can do it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a role. It can be used wherever you want, but I'm not giving it least privilege because I will be giving it privileges for more than it needs, because it will have permissions to look at ECR. Was it EC2 container registry power user? Interesting name. Okay. Now we have the code pipeline. Kind of clean up these names here. I wonder if that's required. If it's not, I don't want names. Artifact store. Yep, we needed that S3 bucket. There's the role. Now we have Ingress. Okay. Owner is me. The repo will be AWS CloudFormation reference. I'm just going to keep everything in this one repository. Pull for source changes, yes. Off of master, yes. OAuth token is passed in. That was easy. That's it. That's all I needed to do there. So that part's set up. Next is the build. I will just call it build Docker image. Oops. We're going to build with CodeBuild. This is, I think I just renamed that to just CodeBuild. The primary source is going to be the artifact. The environment variables. I don't think I need any. Let's see if I needed any environment variables. Maybe the repository URI. Maybe I should add a repository into this instead of, before I had that S3 bucket. So I do have a repository in the ECS cluster. So I'll just take this and add this in. So it's all built in the pipeline. See, ECR. I'll have to figure out how to get the URI out, but I think it would be a good idea to just keep all of this together. So I will need an environment variable. I will need that as a ECR repository URI. And let's see how I can get that URI. I think you might just be able to returns the resource name. Okay, so that's not going to work. Maybe I can just use this, because I'm pretty sure the repository URI is just my AWS account. Is it? Yeah, it is. So I can just reference my AWS account, and then the repositories return. So this would look a little bit different now. This is going to be my AWS account. All of that's the same, and then this is going to be my ECR repo reference. Is that correct? I think that's how you do that. Need to look at the sudo params. I was a little off. Okay. It's AWS account ID. So that'll give us our repository URI. So we shouldn't need that anywhere. That should be fine now. That's all good. The commit hash is good. I need that. Then I want the image tag. Then we build it as latest, tag it. I won't push latest. I will only push the tagged image. Then writing the image definition file, name. This would reference the container name, which is defined for me here. So hello world is correct. You can change this though. You can add this as a parameter, as a environment variable, like I did the repository URI, however you'd like. And then all of this will be passed through into the image definition, which is output as that file. So one thing I know I'll need to do is change. I had a slightly different name, so I will have to change that. Let's replace all those. And that might it might be easy as that. I think I will need to change repositories or change where I am in the repository, because I'm not building off the root, so I will need to change to Fargate to hello world, and then I'll be able to find my Docker file. So I think that's what I will need to do, and then I can build tag to whatever else I need to. All these commands, you can split them up into the different stages and everything just for organization reasons, but all they really are, it's just a bash script pretty much. That's all any CI/CD is. It's just bash scripts that are triggered to run on a certain event. So in this case, we're going to trigger it to run on a GitHub webhook, but I could achieve the same effect if I had my own custom server somewhere that just ran a bash script whenever that webhook triggered it, and it could. All this is scripts and API calls, so it'd pull down the source, and then instead of going into CodeBuild, I could just run these commands the way they are, and then the deployment, you can do all of the ECS deployment through API calls. That's all that CodePipeline is going to do for us. It's just a more organized way to see those API calls. So that's all that's going to happen. But yeah, well, the build spec, this is all, you can just think of all this as bash scripts, because that's all it is. That's all it really is. Okay, so this is what's going to have to change to the ECS stuff. So our configuration parameters are going to be new now. We're going to have a cluster name, our service name, our file name, and lastly, nope, there's no lastly. I'm not going to do the timeout. The input artifacts is the build artifact, and this is going to reference our image definitions.json that comes from the CodeBuild instance. That's what it spits out. The service name. So yeah, this is where, I have a very specific goal in mind. I know exactly what I will be deploying. I know the cluster, everything So I could hard code it here. I'm not going to hard code it actually. I will make this a little bit more generic. I would suggest let's change this. I would suggest in a production environment, or when this infrastructure is really going to matter, all of this stuff should be configurable. The ECR repository, well, I guess that is kind of configurable, but maybe you only want one ECR repository, and you just push different images to, no, that might not work, never mind. Either way, there would be ways to make this template more generic to a way that or in a way that it could be reused without needing to be edited. So you would just pass in new parameters when you're spinning up a new stack in CloudFormation, and all of this could be done for you. That's what I would suggest doing in a real environment, in a production environment. Obviously, I'm not doing this in a production environment, so I am going to be a little less cautious and a little more direct in my approach, just because, well, I don't really have to worry about making things efficient and streamlined. Oops, I don't need the cluster. So that's an interesting thing. I could import the cluster from this stack because I do have outputs here. So that would be possible. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think I have an example of that in here. Cluster, that's it. So down here, actually, I'm just going to import. And instead, this is going to be called ECS cluster stack. Then Fargate. Well, I don't have the service name exported, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's make an export for the service name, and I'll do the same thing with Fargate. Now I'm going to have to check to make sure that's how I can get that name. I need an ECS service. You can tell I've been around here like all those purple links. That's the ARN, but I can also get the name. Okay, so I need a get at. So that will export our service name. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And since there's no change, it should be near instant. There's our service name, and we've got our value. Yeah, because I don't really want to pass that gobbledygook in there, you know. So I will now change this to look the same. Fargate stack, and I'll default it to this. I will probably change this before I push it for good, just because I normally keep I didn't need to do this Fargate CICD demo thing, but I normally try to keep my CloudFormation stack names pretty generic, just ECS stack, Fargate stack, stuff like that. But obviously here we are, and I didn't do that. So I'll note, it's probably worth noting here, I exported one service. I only exported one service name. It is possible that someone might want to come through and add multiple services to the same template. Maybe they're dependent on each other or something. The infrastructure needs to be there at the same time, or maybe there's some reason to have two services in a CloudFormation template. If that's the case, you probably need a little bit less generic of a name, but for now I think this should work. So oh, this stuff needs to change. I believe this is just ECS. Correct. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's find out. Go ahead and push that so that the build spec and everything is there whenever we get there. And let's try to make this stack, see what happens. That's fine, that's all fine. I like it. I like adding default parameters. Makes me feel good that it would be configurable, but also it's easy to just to add in something quick. Uh-oh. Or did I put the wrong that's why. Oops. Put in the parameter and I didn't reference it correctly when I imported it. That'll delete extremely quickly, so I'll just go ahead and create this new one. I think sometimes CodePipeline can take a little bit of time to spin up. If that is the case, then I'll pause the video, but I'm kind of hoping it moves pretty quickly. So the benefit, I remember in my first Fargate video, I had to look up the commands to push the ECR, this initial ECR repository. The benefit with having this set up now is that I don't have to worry about pushing it. It will automatically show up. That's funny. This one was from the ECS cluster before, but I don't need that anymore. So this will be the new one. That's the old one. That's the very first one. But now I don't need to manually push this. It'll just magically happen for me. Oh wow, that was fast. Okay, let's go to CodePipeline and see what happened. I need to bookmark this. There we go. Maybe CodeBuild as well. Let's go to CodePipeline. Oh, it failed. What failed? Oh, it needs S3. Interesting. It needs the role needs S3 permissions. I wonder why that was. I wonder if it pushes to S3 first. I wonder what gave it permission last time. I'm guessing it needed that just because of the bucket. It needs to push to the bucket. Huh. I'm kind of surprised that yeah, that this service role wasn't enough already. Let's go check it out. CodePipeline full access. It has S3. List read write. Huh. Maybe it needs S. Yeah, it doesn't look like it has very many write. String like. Huh. I wonder why it had trouble with that. I guess maybe it's the wrong. Maybe this is the wrong format. I don't remember having trouble with that last time. But maybe it was a new change to that policy. I have to fit the regex, and I have to fit the regex. Strange that that hadn't happened before, but they do change IAM policies sometimes. Uh-oh. I wonder if this is the bucket name. Maybe I need to do that. Make it more unique. These buckets are, I believe they're global. They have to be globally unique. The names do. So I don't know if that's what this was, but if this doesn't work, then what in the world? I'm just gonna delete this. I'm just gonna start fresh. I haven't ever seen this before. Choose a valid artifact bucket or create a new artifact bucket. Maybe that's what's needed. Huh. I think that should be the correct syntax. How interesting. I wonder if it's just because the S3 bucket wasn't there and it tried to reference in CodePipeline before it was done updating with the new name. And because of that, it had problems? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, who knows? This might not even fix the original problem. Don't need that anymore. Don't need that. I'll keep that up. Don't need that. New one's there. I don't need that. Is it up? Okay. Well, let's see if it works this time. Yeah. What if it's the same thing? How interesting. It doesn't have permissions. That doesn't sound right. I bet it's just IAM permissions. I bet that's all it is. I bet there was something in one of these that gave it S3 permissions, and now I don't have them anymore. CodeBuild admin access. Do I have that here? Yeah. CloudFormation full access. I don't know. I don't know what I needed. Oh, that's right, because I was making IAM roles. Huh. Well, let's add some S3 permissions to it and see if it lets us write. That's a new one for me. Alright, here goes with the new IAM role. See if it'll let me update the IAM role. I think sometimes if it's named, it won't let you update. Did I name it? Or maybe you have to have a named one. I don't know. There's something weird with that. Requires replacement. Huh. Well, guess I'm just crazy. I don't know. Let's retry. Should have the new S3 permissions. So, yep, okay, that was it. Alright. Okay, so next we need CloudWatch logs. Does the CodeBuild admin not give... How bizarre that it doesn't give the permissions to run. Huh. Seems kind of weird. Admin, developer. What's the description? Also attach all these things. Why aren't they done already? Yeah, CloudWatch. I didn't give it CloudWatch. Wait. Huh? Boy, this is a confusing policy here. It can only read CloudWatch logs. It can't write them, but this wants to write them. Create log stream. Well, that's good to know that there is a log stream. Did I tell it to log? Let's see if you can turn logging off. Enabled by default, not enabled. I wonder if that's new. I feel like I haven't. Oh, maybe not. Who knows? Name disabled. Okay, so I need to go through this. It is called logs config. Logs config has CloudWatch logs and status disabled. I don't really. They already keep logs in. I guess we'll find out soon enough. If it doesn't keep logs, then I'll just revert back to enabling that and give it permissions to write logs. And the logs that come from the builds themselves are definitely useful, but I didn't think that required CloudWatch permissions. Alright, let's retry. Oh yeah, look at that. They just aren't even available. Okay, well, let's take that off. And instead, I'm going to try to make my own log group here. I think I have it in here as well. Log group. Yeah. I like personally controlling all of the log groups because they can turn into a kind of a mess if you don't control the retention in days. But that's might be a personal preference. CloudWatch logging. Where's the actual log? I think I have log groups in here. Nope, I don't. Thought I did, but I don't. I need CloudWatch logs and a log group. Log group name, that's it. Fargate CodeBuild is the name of it. Oh, I don't want a name. Let's go back to CodeBuild. See what the return is. Get the ARN. Oh, that returns the name. Okay. Good. I can just ref it. that'll give me my log group, so I can actually see if something worked or not. And we also got another fit, but there's no way for me to YAML. Oh, I might have to rename that YAML. Alright, let's just do one thing at a time here. We'll update the CICD stack. This should give it the log group. And I also need to add CloudWatch logging. There's so many. Well, I guess I need that, don't I? Alright. So this is another example of, it'd be better if all this stuff was in its correct IAM role. I just, you know what, maybe I will. I think I'll probably need that. I don't think I'll need that. We're going to use the CodeBuild role here. Now that we have a new one. And you can actually add in, I'm not going to do role name. I don't want that one to have one either. I think it's just policies. Let's find out. IAM policy and role. And policies, which is a list of policies. Then you gotta have the policy document and the policy name. Yeah, that's annoying. Policies, policy document. Where's YAML? Yeah, that's what I want. So, yeah, this would be the name and then the document, but we want to allow a specific action, right? We don't necessarily want, oh, interesting. Didn't mean to click that. This would just be an example. Oh, did it remake? Oh, look at that. It remade CodeBuild. We would want to restrict not just on this managed policy ARN, but restrict actual actions, not just the managed ones. So, but this should give CodeBuild its own set of permissions, so it doesn't have to. We can minimize the permissions that are given to both CodePipeline and CodeBuild, and hopefully the CloudWatch logs permission will give our CodeBuild instance enough permissions to successfully run. So, but this will be new. So, after this is created, it's all updated. Okay. Let's just try again. since I did change some stuff up, I changed the roles and whatnot. Since technically this is a new role, this isn't the named IAM role. Make sure it all still works. So GitHub worked. Now we're on to building the Docker image. Let's see what it looks like. And if we go to CloudWatch, so I guess the build logs are not just here, they're pushed to CloudWatch first. So we'll be able to see them in, yeah, there it is, in CloudWatch. There's the log stream. Okay. The container. Access denied. Interesting. Okay. Well, we're making progress though. So we got to here. There was stuff on this role that told us what we needed, and I think some of it was some S3 permissions. So let's go back to that and actually read it and add in the correct. So we need read only, and then we need IAM full access, create manage the service rule. Okay, so I guess that's why that was on the other. Yeah, I bet that's why it was there. I don't know, I'm still a little confused on how it, oops, how all of this just kind of passed by before. Oops. I don't actually remember. Yeah, because that other the serverless API CICD template that I keep referencing, that is probably not working anymore since I needed to do all this stuff to get CodeBuild working. Oops. So I guess that's good to know, but also weird that so much would have changed to break a template based on IAM roles. But here we are. AWS gets to make the rules, I guess. Alright, we have the new CodeBuild role with the S3 access. So let's go ahead and retry this now. And we'll see what happens. If all goes well, we should be able to pull the artifact and start seeing what is in this build spec. But I did have an error with the build spec. It said it couldn't find it. So let's try this. Maybe it is YAML. Same thing, yeah. Oh, nope, I don't want the environment, I want the project. I think there might be a way to tell it exactly what the file is, and I think if that's the case, then I probably didn't give it the right file name. I'm wondering if it by default is looking for YAML and I gave it YML. Interesting. There's a lot to code build that I didn't know about. Source, maybe it's that. Build spec, there it is. Build spec YML. Oh, well, yeah, it's because it's not at the root level. I CD into it here, but that's not where it exists. So yeah, that's where it is. So I just need to change where it looks for it in here. Source type is CodePipeline, and then build spec. Slash build spec YML. Yeah, I don't know if that's the exact fix. We'll see what the actual fix is, but I'm pretty sure that's the issue. It's because it's just looking in the root directory. It just looks where it is, and it's not in the root directory. It's in a subdirectory in that Fargate directory. So I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's part of the problem. There's probably a way to see. Build spec in the source code root directory. So that was the problem, yeah. Let's go ahead and retry that. We'll just kick off a new build. Tell CodeBuild we want a new one. And now we'll make it. Let's check these builds. So yeah, so we already changed the build spec. So hopefully, we'll get a little further this time. Yeah, that's all those little things that, you know, they add up. Alright, so we installed. Now we're doing pre-build. So if we tail the logs here. Oh, I need to give it ECR access. ECR get. Okay. So now I can actually put this policy to good use. Oops. So I need to allow certain actions. There is a better way to do this. I know there is. Service. No, that's the assume role. Could have sworn I've seen a better way to do this instead of just multiple policies. There we go. So it's just a list. Okay. I can handle that. Cool. Okay, so it's just a list. So we'll need get authorization token, and then I'm gonna guess that we're gonna need other stuff as well. Repository. Let's see. Does it give us what we need in here? You add ECR permissions to it later. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, if it gives us that suggested IAM policy, then I'll just use what they suggest. What if there's a better, yeah, it's called registry. What if there's one for code pipeline? No, I'm using ECS, right? So I wouldn't need, maybe I do. So in my deploy, yeah, it's just going to default to my code pipeline role. My guess is it'll need, I'm going to say no for now, but my guess is it'll need that ECR ability as well. But for now, let's update it so we can get past CodeBuild. Yeah, right now what I need to do is finish up the CodeBuild stuff, get a successful run through there. That'll push to ECR, and from ECR I'll be able to figure out the permissions that I need from the code pipeline errors that get thrown, if there are any, when it tries to deploy to ECS. So alright, that's updated. Let's retry. All this stuff is actually super useful to go through by yourself on like a blank slate. I think a lot of times people will kind of stumble into a nice, oh no, Docker, a nice setup at work or something like that, not understand what's actually going on or what's required behind the scenes to get everything working. So this is also, that's okay. Docker's not running? Weird. It should have Docker. Huh. Well, it's closed. That's a good sign. Select the privileged mode option. Ah, okay. I need the privileged mode. Where would that be? What did she say it was under? Edit environment override image privileged. Okay, so is it environment, image, privileged mode? Okay. So here I need environment, image, and then, oops. Let me just copy and paste. Privileged mode. True. What's all this? It was running Docker daemon inside a Docker container. Interesting. Alright, well, you need to update him so he can actually run Docker. But we are making it through that build spec, so we are making progress, which is always fun. I don't imagine this part will take too long to update. Alright, it's updated, clean up. Okay, retry. Back to CodeBuild. And all the while, I'm sure this is all getting pushed to CloudWatch. So we can look through here. Yeah, and I would really recommend, so these aren't here, these are set to never expire. I'm going to go ahead and delete these, but you'll notice all of mine are set to have a retention period. I really suggest doing this. I don't think CloudWatch is going to break the bank. I don't think it's that expensive, but AWS will ding you on those little things, so it's probably best to stay on top of them while you can. Oh, okay, so we're working. We're building the image, downloading Node. This is fun. So what it's doing is pulling from Node, and then it's going to copy all this stuff in to create just a little tiny Node Docker image. The source is here. Well, oh yeah, this is correct. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking. So it'll just spin up this little tiny Express app that replies "Hello World." And once I get this working, I'll just add a little exclamation mark in here and push it, and we'll see it all spin through. At least I hope we see it all spin through. No basic auth credentials. Okay. So we had trouble pushing. No basic auth credentials. I thought that would be handled by this. Pushing the Docker images. I have done this before as like an actual command. There's a way to. What do I need to talk? For each registry used. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because I have a private registry. Yeah, I bet it's because I didn't Why did it do that? It didn't. I don't know. I'll just go ahead and try to work with this command. This is okay, so I'm going to change around the environment variables a little bit so I can get all of this information. I'm going to do ECR repository, and then I'll do image. Wait. Oh, okay. Let's keep it the URI, and then we'll do ECR login URL, and that won't have the repo on it. Okay. Region. I think that's right. Yeah, then you have to Docker login. Maybe that was the problem down here. Okay. Let's try it. I'll go ahead and do that. I don't think there were any updates on the... Oh yeah, there were. I'll update the template real quick. Let's see if I can beat the commit coming in. Oh, there's the update. I don't know. We'll see if I beat it. Looks like I might have. Oh, it got canceled. That's funny. Oh, interesting. I guess the pipeline from CloudFormation updated the pipeline right after the new commit came in or something, and it stopped itself. I don't know. Something weird happened, but we'll just go from the top. That should open up in CodeBuild. And we'll see if that worked. I think that maybe the difference was, let's see if they said something about a public ECR repo. I bet this is public. Doesn't explicitly say private, does it? Private repositories. I don't know. Still failed. I have used this before. Okay, let's go back to CodeBuild. Let's do some echoes. Those are what's passed in. That should kick it off again. It takes a couple seconds for it to actually kick off, but because it's just polling, it's not actually a webhook, it's just a poll. So you can hit the release change and it'll go and pick up the latest commit, or you can wait a little bit and it'll pick it up on its own. I will say though, this was a little disheartening that it didn't just log in. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, I don't know. There, yeah, I picked it up. Is that what I was looking at? This might be what I was already looking at. Oh no, it's not. This looks maybe a little bit better, a little bit more promising. Okay. That all looks fine. $400 bad request. Oh, why is it US West 2? That's why. Huh. Oh man. I think it's just region. Well, I hope that was it. I hope it was just me being dumb and copying and pasting, which I can definitely see. Okay. And once this kicks off, I'll just retry. Okay. So this should be updated, US East 1. Huh, I don't know why it keeps giving me those errors, but it does. Yeah, this one might be a better reference compared to this one. They look a little different. Yep. Don't need that anymore. Alright, let's hop over to CodeBuild and see how we're doing. Be nice if we could log in. Be a step in the right direction. Aha! Alright. That was it. I was trying to log into US East 2 and I was not in US East or US West 2, but I was in US East 1. Huh. I wonder if it gives that 400 just because I don't have any repos in US East 2, and that's why. Oh, that's gonna throw everything off, but yeah, maybe it. No, there's one there. I'll go ahead and delete that. That was an old one. Huh. Well. Oh, and we're pushing now. Yay. Okay, that's RT, this one. There we go. There's the new image tag. So CodeBuild will finish up. It'll print out the image definitions.json. No matching artifact paths found. Oh no. I think CodeBuild needs to know the artifacts that it's yeah, it needs to know the artifacts that it's pushing before it actually pushes them. Artifacts, type code pipeline. How did I do it here? What's that build spec? Files. Okay. Here's this code pipeline. Well, I don't know why I didn't want to output. No matching artifact paths found. Oh, I wonder if it's absolute. And since I already CD'd into here, I wonder if it's like that. Because it said no matching paths found. Expanding file paths for base directory. I bet that's it. I think there's a way to drop paths. Is it this? Uh, I wonder if it's only that. We'll find out. Which means that this will have to be updated since it's no longer there. It's there. Well, I don't know. We'll just move one step at a time. We'll see if this fails on us. If this fails on us, then I'll know that I need to update this with the new path for the build artifact. It might not be necessary. If CodePipeline strips the artifact of its path, it might not need it. Uh-oh. I couldn't upload it. Okay, so we got past one thing where we found the image definition. Now we need to upload it. I imagine I need to upload it to CodePipeline. Well, if this is the case, they might as well be the same IAM roles. Alright, well, let's update it. We'll leave the path in there. And if it works, it works. If not, then I'll try to take the path out. This guy right here. That's the one in question. Kind of depends on how CodePipeline wants to handle it. There's probably, yeah, here we go. Let's see. I'll put artifacts. Alright. Here's that. Let's see if it'll let me. It doesn't want to let me retry. I don't really understand that. It was letting me retry it before, but now it doesn't want to. Okay, so hopefully that'll let me push to CodePipeline. What kind of... It's like a put artifact, put action, put job success. I was kind of hoping there'd be something about putting an artifact, but it doesn't look like it. Alright, and it's already running, so I think the node image is the largest thing on this Docker file, and in that it's pretty easy and straightforward. Alright, now if this works, we'll get on the ECS deploy. Now, it won't actually deploy any. Error and upload artifact. What? Is it S3 stuff? Still? Well, maybe it needs full access. Maybe if it's writing. I mean, that does look familiar to what I saw originally when I didn't have full access. So, yeah, this has been a tricky AWS integration. Normally things run really smoothly. Doesn't, yeah, I wouldn't say this one's running very smoothly. KMS key. I don't think you need to do a KMS key. You just need to give it access, right? KMS key would be way too complicated for this. I think you can just use the Amazon provided key. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it is a NS3 issue. I guess all the artifacts just go in and out of NS3 bucket. So, cool. Got past the build stage. Now it's on to the deploy stage. So, the ECS stuff, if it... Oh, well, that was quick. Pipelines. Okay, there's the key. Oh, that's actually convenient. That'll be easy to debug it. That's convenient. So I can just go in here and look for the specific key. What was it? Build artif. Alright. No bucket versioning, that's fine. I need to download it. And I'll open it, and then I'll be able to see what's in it. Is it this one? I think I have to unzip it. It should be a zip file. I mean, the size kind of matches up. It's not supposed to be huge. Let's see if I can rename this to .zip. Try to make it open it. Oh, it was under Fargate. Okay. So under Fargate, under Hello World, under image definitions.json. So that was, it is there. Huh. I was hoping I could. Alright, I'm gonna try something a little hacky. We're gonna go back to where it started, and then we're gonna move image definitions and then put it at the root. Before I do that, let me try this. That's not what I was looking for. Is this CodeBuild? Yeah. Huh. No. Not what I'm looking for. Alright, let's go ahead and try this. Start off with the slash. See if that fixes part of this. And then I wouldn't need to do any of this. Oh, that was fast. I'm thinking maybe I have to... Oh, the pipeline definition has changed. Okay. I'm wondering if I have to start off with that slash. But I don't know. We'll see. Multiple input output. Oh, this is the Chinese AWS. I have a feeling it's not going to work, but yeah, still failed. This 3. That's what I want. Looks like it's in there to me. Before I do that, Fargate, hello world. Image. I don't know. Looks like it's there to me. Alright, let's go ahead and try this difference out. So it'll just push it as image definitions. Unless there's a way in files. Build spec. Files, name, artifact name, discard paths. That's what I wanted. Okay, let's try that. Stat. That might not be needed. It might do that by default, but I'm going to leave it in for fun, I guess. Oh, well, it beat me to it. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm a little bit concerned that I couldn't find it at all because I'm pretty sure that was the correct path. Oh, this is cool. They didn't used to do this. They put like interim. So I guess this guy, this execution ID is in a queue to hit this step. But since it goes sequentially, it won't fire off until he's done. It's pretty cool. You used to not be able to see these. These wouldn't be there. So it's interesting that they added those. I like it. It's a much better visual. I guess for building, downloading that file and everything. Oops. Oh, jeez. It is a zip archive. That is the file. I'm confused. Oh man. Well, I don't know why it is having trouble. It's pushing the right place and everything. Oh, I might be dumb. It might just pull that out of here anyway. Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be there. I think that's the problem. It's just image definitions. It's not. It's looking for the file named that, which isn't there. Oh no. I think that's potentially the problem. I don't know what kind of syntax I was using. That's the right. I guess it's that syntax is just only used for certain things. I mean, I say that. Let's see if this actually works, but please let me just retry. Ah, dang it. Alright, I'm gonna pause this while this goes through. If there's an error or anything, I'll bring it back and explain. Alright, so it failed, but with a different problem. Insufficient permissions to access ECS. So that shouldn't be. We got past the image definitions problem. So it was just me being stupid. There we go. Now we know. Unfortunately, that took me too long, but yeah, the image, the file name, it probably would have worked with the path. I think it looks cleaner without the path, but it probably still would have worked. I just had the input artifact : and that was just stupid of me. So now now I need to figure out what permissions I need to actually deploy this. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't just outright say it. But let's look through IAM and see if there's anything in ECS CodeDeploy role, maybe one of those. Yeah, so up here, I don't need that anymore. Up here, there's nothing for ECS, which will probably be needed. I'm guessing I can just do full access, blue, green. Access. CloudWatch logs, ECR. What does CodeDeploy look like? I'll just go full access and just to get this working and show something. But as I've said many times already in this video, and I'm sure I will say in the future still, the way I'm doing IAM policies is not the right way to do it in a production environment. If you're really gonna, the reason I set these, I want to use set up this AWS CloudFormation reference repo was to give people a jumping off point, a starting point to making CloudFormation templates. Because I remember when I was first going through it, I had a hard time finding them, and it was just difficult for me. And also, this helps cement in my mind how all this stuff works. But I want to take these templates and be able to make something out of them, but also keep in the back of your head that it's not necessarily perfect. Oh, cool. So it is working. But these templates need work before they're production ready. The IAM roles and whatnot, but they're meant to get you off the ground quickly, and that's it. That's the main goal. Okay, so that aside, we are actually now deploying the image to ECS. We can see here it's provisioning, it's pending. So I believe how ECS manages its deployments, if they're not through CodeDeploy, it does a rolling update, I believe. So what it'll try to do, so it has this new, is it a new service or just a new, it'll try to get this new one up and responding to health checks, and then it will tear this guy down. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will eventually tear it down. So it has 2 running, but it should only, yeah, desired tasks is 1. So it started it all, and then it'll realize that it has more stacks than it needs, and it should start to deprovision this one. And once that happens, then the deployment will more or less be complete. So yeah, here's a good way to look at it. We have 2 out of 1 tasks running. We have more tasks than we need, so it should, I don't know how long it'll take, but it should start deprovisioning it. I'll go ahead and pause the video here, and I'll come back when it starts deprovisioning. Okay, so it still hasn't updated the state But we can see from this pane, from the actual service pane, I'm going to sneeze. We can see from the service pane, sorry about that, that it has started deregistering this one. So I'm imagining that shortly we will start to see it deregister. So it's registered this guy. Now it's deregistering. It's begun draining connections. So the draining connections is in. Let's see if I can flip over quick enough. That'll be in the load balancer. So it deprovisions it in the load balancer, so no more traffic is forwarded to it. And then once it's completely deregistered from the load balancer, so there we go, we're deregistering it. And once it's done draining, once it's done deregistering, then it will take it off of the take it out of the ECS cluster. So if I let me go back to this load balancer and get the DNS name. If I curl it, so we are still getting our hello world, but instead of it being the old one, it's now based off of the new image. And it's just going to drain it. I mean, who knows how long that's going to take. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is hop on over to index and update this. So I'm going to just kick off this build and everything, so it'll be in the queue and ready to go, because it obviously takes a little bit to drain. And what'll happen, it'll get through the application, it'll build the image and everything. Then when it gets to ECS, once this one gets out of the queue, then it'll just be waiting, and it'll spin up. You know, we saw the new one. We saw this new guy. It spins up pretty quickly. I guess it's just taking a long time deregistering. But when it deregisters, sorry, here we are. When it deregisters, then it'll allow the new image to come through in place of what is now this one. So it'll probably just take a while, but that's fine. I'll let it run through its queue, and I'll go ahead and pause the video here and join back whenever the new image with the new message is coming through. Alright, so actually in my time that was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. We are in the deploy stage with the new that's the new commit, so we'll have the new image coming in shortly, at least we should. And there it is, provisioning. We see revision 3. And what really matters, so it'll provision in ECS, which means it's more or less spinning up an EC2 instance and putting the Docker image on it and running it. Once it's provisioned, then it'll register it with the load balancer. And once it's registered with the load balancer and healthy, and it starts deregistering that guy, the revision 2, then we should be able to ping it and see the result. So cool, we're running. So there's the initialization on load balancer. So again, one thing I was talking about earlier on in the video was the blue-green deployments with CodeDeploy. So in a situation with a blue-green, you would route while this is healthy. So now this is healthy, which is pretty cool that it updated on its own. Well, let's see if it. Oh shoot! Let's see if it routes any traffic. There it is. So it's kind of what I'm trying to show here is I'm hitting the same endpoint, and it's giving me this one and the new one. So both of them are still up. My guess is it's supposed to be like a 50-50 load balance, or a little bit more on the new one. Now that it's deregistering, I should only get the new return. So there we go. And this will just be my final note, because this was the full CI/CD pipeline. This is exactly what I wanted to show, and it's awesome that it kind of worked right out of the gate once I got past the code build errors. This last piece that I'll leave you with is the blue-green stuff. So what would happen in a blue-green deployment? Instead of draining this old one immediately, it would leave it up, it would leave it healthy, and it would load balance a portion of traffic to the new one. So instead of seeing something like this, I would maybe only, out of the 10 requests, maybe I'd only see 1, or maybe I would only see 3, and those are all configurable. You can configure the deployment to only deploy X percent of the traffic for the first 5 minutes, and then maybe the next 15 minutes you deploy another X amount of traffic. But all the while it leaves the old image, the stable image, up. And the reason for doing that is if there is an error in the new image and an alarm gets tripped, or it just plain old doesn't come up, then instead of spinning down the old one immediately, it can redirect traffic to the old image that we know is stable, that we know is working, and tear down the new image. So the blue-green idea is you have a blue environment and a green environment, and you're trying to switch, I think, I don't remember which one's supposed to be old and which one's supposed to be new. We'll say blue is old and green is new. It's trying to switch to the green environment, but it leaves the blue environment up completely in case it needs to fail back over to the blue environment, to the old environment. The CodeDeploy can also support, so that's like a canary kind of deployment. Like you send a little bit of traffic and see what happens, send a little more, see what happens. You can do it in percentages, you can do it linearly, but it's shifting traffic over gradually, versus like this where it just switches everything over all at once. So it's a little safer in that kind of scenario. I briefly brought it up before, but there's no support for that in CloudFormation just yet, unfortunately. I imagine that they're going to try to get that through, but it's not entirely difficult to still set that up, and you just set it up through the console, so there would just be a little bit of manual process. I like CloudFormation. I love having everything in CloudFormation templates, but you could script it up. You could use the AWS CLI, or you could use the SDK, or I'm sure there's a way around it that doesn't involve CloudFormation, where you could still use more or less infrastructure as code, but still get the benefits of having CodeDeploy and blue-green deployments. So that being said, this was the video. This is what I wanted to do, and it's been accomplished. So I'm happy about that. I'll go ahead and try to clean this template up a little bit. Well, I don't want this. I'll go ahead and try to clean the template up a little bit, take out some of these comments and stuff. Well, there's not too much to clean up, but and I'll go ahead and push these templates. I will also